One. Hi, everybody. We are live from the set of Major
Cool.
Crimes today with star Tony Denison, aka Lieutenant Andy Flynn, and the amazing costume designer that we've been dying to do this with, Greg LaVoi. So we are going to talk
A
our
star in
favorite
his own right.
subjects, which is, of course, Shandy wardrobe. And then, of course, suspenders. We got to talk about them suspenders that all the fans love and adore. And then we'll talk about a couple of other fun things from the set here today. But we promise not to give anything away, or TNT would kill me. So
And
here
me
we
too.
go. And Tony too, and Greg. So
And
we're gonna.
I'm below the line, so they won't kill me.
So
No, they
what?
won't.
What?
They need him, really.
All the fans love that you do the matching outfits for Flynn and Raider. So, Greg, take us through it. How did you come up with that concept? How long ago did you start it before we all caught on to it? And how much do you love the fact that the fans pay attention to every piece of it?
Well, first of all, I love the fans. They're what keep us on the air. So right there, that's very, very important for us as employees as well as actors. The matching colors started with Brenda Lee and Gabriel in the original Closer series, because with all the other cast members too. Because if Brenda was opposed to Flynn, for instance, then I'd have them in opposing colors. But Gabriel was her right-hand guy, so they would always be coordinating. So once Brenda left, my whole color story and matchy thing was kind of out the window until the romance started with Raider and Flynn. And then as it started, there was some subtle matching, but then as it got hot and heavy, or hot and heavier, then we got the purple gasms and we got more of the matching colors, which is fun. And it's really cool to do, and it's fun for the fans to kind of pick up on it. So that's what I love.
Yeah, and I look forward to it. I mean, every change I have, every episode, and it's and it's funny. I think Greg would know this. In the whole series of The Closer, Flynn didn't ever take his jacket off except once or twice when he wore vests, because we had talked about wearing three-piece suits. But then when my love of suspenders, the minute Greg said, "Yeah, let's go for the suspenders," suddenly Flynn is without his jacket so much it's ridiculous, because I love to show him. It's like really old school. And I have, I don't know how many pair Flynn has, but I know personally Tony has at least like 25 pair of suspenders.
All right, Greg, take us through some of these suspenders. I'm going to come in close.
Well, but I want to say something about Tony first.
All right.
So you and I have known each other since my first movie of the week back in like 1991-ish, I think.
Oh my God, that's
and
right.
that was with Jo Beth Williams,
Yes.
and you played her love interest in that.
Right.
And when I met Tony then, he was delightful and very sartorial, and loved his clothes and loved the leather jacket I put you in.
That's
way
right.
Back when, and I think actually took the leather
I
jacket.
did.
But
They gave it to me.
With
They got it.
approval.
Yeah,
with
with
approval. So when you then came on the DA. It was great to work with him, and then again on The Closer and Major Crimes. So, but this is one actor that never complains about his clothes. He puts on his suits because he gets character, and he loves the clothes I pick for you, and also what my shopper shops for him, and my assistant designer pulls for him, standing over the wings. But also I love his ties, so he's always had a great tie collection. But I appreciate that from a costume designer standpoint. You allow me to do my job, and you never question it. And the only thing that he does question is a collaboration. Should I take my jacket off? May I have suspenders? Could I have vests? So that's what I like, is the collaboration between who Flynn is with compared to you. So anyway, so yes, the question was?
All right, so you know what? Before we get to the suspenders, let's go back to Purple Gasm.
Okay.
So, because the fans love that, and oh my God, the second I just said that word, all the little hearts just popped up on the screen. I love it.
Okay, so Purple Gasm
take us
started,
through Purple Gasm.
Purple Gasm started because Mary / Raider loves purple. So the character I was always putting in this one particular purple Armani jacket. And then when the Shandy romance started, it was a perfect example to be able to put Flynn in a very light lilac colored shirt, a great purple and black tie, and then have Raider in black Michael Kors jacket and a purple Armani top. So that's how Purple Gasm started, came to be, and has exploded. So this is a perfect example of Purple Gasm. Now, what you're wearing today is a pink gasm, because Mary had a little bit of pink on.
And coral.
And Anthony had on pink shirt and his pink and gray tie. So this is what's the fun part of these color combinations.
And I must say, You know, like a lot of times when I've been on shows, sometimes the cast says, "Oh, yeah, you look nice, whatever." But this is the only show where all the crew constantly will come over to me and go, "Man, I really love that tie," you know. And they go, "What kind of tie?" And I'll say, you know, Greg finds the ties.
That's just a JCPenney tie.
Yeah, he finds ties at JCPenney, Target, places like that, and he gets them at the price that a cop can afford.
But you also have Gucci's and Brioni and all those other fabulous ties.
Yeah.
Because maybe Raider bought them for you.
Right, exactly. There is a couple upscale ties. But that's what I love so much about my character. I mean, Greg very affectionately refers to my character as the Peacock.
Totally.
Because of, you know...
Well, on the closer, you were. I mean, Gabriel had a certain style. Each of those guys had a certain style. But you had that peacock style. You could always wear the colors, the pop of color on the shirt and the gray
turquoise.
I like that
and
peacock style.
You're about the only guy I know who can pull
everyone.
off pink.
Hashtag peacock style. All right, so take us through. You get the script, and you're ready to, you know, set out the wardrobe for the week. How does it start? Do you start with Mary? Do you start with Tony? Do you start with the color scheme? Take us through it.
Okay, I start with the story first of all, and I read it, and then I start sketching in my script, which I should have brought to show you guys, but maybe the next interview we have, Facebook interview.
Do it anytime you want.
So I do start with Mary because I like to revolve everybody's wardrobe around her, whether it be the good guys, the bad guys, whatever. So I'll plot Mary's wardrobe, but now I have to be very specific though to be able to match with Tony, because we do that every time, and I hope you guys maybe.
I mean, to be in the situation, first of all, to work with Mary is.
Picking back up, sorry about that. We lost the signal, so we will continue where you guys were. We were talking about how you go through Mary's wardrobe on
and I'm happy. Like I said, I've been a fan of Mary's forever. And now, not only as an actress, but as a person, she's wonderful. And I always tell people, if Mary's a fake, there's no hope for mankind. But for me to be in a position where the clothes I wear might complement her stuff, totally cool with that.
Well, I just hope I hope they write in some fights, because then I can do opposing colors.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, but I'm totally cool with that.
So then I pull Mary's clothes, and then I pull Tony's clothes, because those are the easiest I get to match, and then everybody else revolves around them. So it's just, and I like to do a color story, so it's kind of like painting a picture. Wait a minute, you gotta Susan, come here just a minute. Get in here. We're on Facebook Live.
Yay!
And this is famed actress Susan Clausen, who plays Edith Head. And you know
Tony Denison.
Well, I'm a huge fan.
She is a huge fan.
Huge fan.
And so she's going to be, if anybody's in LA this weekend, Philip Keen's charity, it's a charity show for the Pan Am Museum. Susan will be starring as Edith Head here on the Raleigh lot, and coming.
Who designed
for
uniforms for Pan Am.
Edith Head was a
So anyway, good to see you, and I'll see you in just a little bit.
And I want to see Vita.
Okay. I know.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
See you.
Bye.
So anyway, I like to do a color story for the whole show, and so it's like painting a picture. I learned that from an old costume designer, not Edith Head, but an old costume designer once, and she said, putting a show together for a costume designer should be like painting a picture. And so the audience shouldn't notice these things, although they notice Shandy, but it should be more like a wonderful painting put together by an artist.
How do you pick the color story?
Depends on the mood of the show, or the tone of the show, or the theme of the show. So if it's an upbeat episode like we're shooting this week, kind of, colors are more poppy and happy. And if it's a really sad show, then in particular when Robert Gossett's character was killed, the episode after that, every outfit in that episode tended to be a gray tone. So that was kind of fun. It was kind of cool to make that really wonderful delineation between reality and...
My next question to you is sort of a non sequitur to the show, but to clothing design in general. In the 50s, when they started switching to, you know, Technicolor and Metro Color, I noticed that like a lot of those movies, like a lot of Doris Day movies and stuff like that, the clothing was like so like, it was like everybody was wearing bright this and bright that.
It was like cotton candy.
And they were just trying to like say, hey, we can do things in color now.
And that was also the upbeat mood of that period too.
Yeah.
So and then it went to the reality of, and I think that's when costume designers kind of became lesser important in our world, because then they didn't design anymore. They just went and shopped, and that's the sad thing, is that our profession has become marginalized by just shopping a show, and I don't believe that. When I shop a show, or when Nina, my shopper assistant designer, shops for me, we're putting together looks, we're designing looks, so we are still designing. she's shy. She won't come on camera. But so I still feel I'm designing the look of the show, whether I'm making this from scratch or not.
Great. So now let's talk about those suspenders. So take us through some of these great suspenders that you brought on the rack here for us.
Well,
Now everybody can see it's getting a little dark, everybody. So thanks for bearing with us. These are pretty amazing. So tell us the story about some of these.
Well, Anthony came up to me, must have been, season 3?
Two.
End of season 2?
Yeah, the end of season 2.
And said, what do you think about suspenders? And I said, I think they're great. And so we had some suspenders in stock. And actually, trivia note, some of these suspenders were worn by Will Pope on the closer.
Oh, right.
In the early days, because we didn't, they're not easily
Which is
fouled.
another compliment, because I love JK and I love his work.
So basically, we try to match them or coordinate them to an outfit, but and you needed some new ones. So we love the old-fashioned kind that have the leather braces, and Tony has buttons put into all of his pants so that they are attached, because nobody wears suspenders anymore hardly, and if they do, they're clip-on.
Which I
Now,
can't.
are some of these
I don't
vintage or these
understand.
all
No,
new?
they're all new, and we get them from Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue.
Where would a person go to
Barney's.
get vintage?
Vintage suspenders? The internet, eBay.
Just look around.
Yeah. And vintage stores. But Brooks Brothers still has them. And here's a pair of your socks. Look, everybody, Tony Denison socks.
And I can
Socks.
get them on Nordstrom's, but online.
Because all the fans want to see Tony's socks.
Nordstrom's doesn't
Any
sell
bit
them.
about.
Nordstrom's doesn't sell them at the store, but I can get them online.
Exactly.
All right, let's see the ones you're wearing. Again, you flashed this earlier.
Well, this is just this
So,
color coordination, which I really love.
See the detail, everybody.
I mean, either one makes the shirt pop, the tie pop, the suspenders. It all just complements one another.
Now,
which
do you
is,
like them coming from a character standpoint or from a comfortable standpoint?
I think it's both. I think it's both equally. I mean, I like the suspenders because I personally, every time I wear a suit, I always wear suspenders. And I like the feel of them. I like the way they look. And then I like the colors, and how it works for me in the show. I really like that a lot.
So I have another question. Where did you get your personal style from? Because Tony will bring in Armani suits and Brioni suits and all these things and say, what do you think? Do you think I look good in this? I mean, it's only $2.99, but maybe should I afford that? And it's yes, he should afford that. He should get them. But where do you get your personal style? Where did you learn that?
Good question.
From all the women in my life.
Oh,
I've been told by almost every woman in my life, when you go to the set, just listen to the costume designer. You can look good in a lot of different stuff. Just let them put you in the clothes and just stop, and that's what I do.
but did a grandfather or your dad?
Well, to
anybody
tell you
like
the
that?
truth, it was really interesting. My father's sister, my Aunt Angie, they're all gone now, but her husband, Joe, my Uncle Joe, he was a tailor for Pierre Cardin. So when I was a kid in school, I was probably the only kid in my high school who used to wear a suit to school. I mean, like back in the 60s, that was like, what?
Were you popular?
I was somewhat popular, I guess. But the thing was, he would go to the old books. Like we would go there for like Easter or Palm Sunday, the Italian tradition. And then he'd say, Anthony, pick one out. And I would look at these, and these were like suits that like Errol Flynn wore in a movie, or Tyrone Power, and they would be in these books. And I'd say, I like that. And he would make it.
So
Because you couldn't find it anywhere in the store, because it was last time it was made, it was in the 40s
So
or the 30s.
it came also from Hollywood glamour. So you admired the glamour of the golden age of Hollywood.
Oh, of course I do. I mean, I not only am I happy to be a member of this community, I'm like one of its biggest fans. I mean, I can't. I mean, I don't tire. There's certain movies I've watched like 10, 20, 30, 40 times because when they're really good, I enjoy watching them, and I still learn. I mean, one of my influences, especially with suspenders, comes from The Godfather, where they were all wearing suspenders in The Godfather. And then I remember as a kid growing up, when I was really young, suspenders were the rage of a lot of Italian men. And just like Jimmy Kahn, they'd wear their sleeveless T-shirt with the suspenders, and then they take them on and off depending on the situation. And so that's when I came to you, and because I just watched the Godfather, for the 750th time. And I thought, I want to talk to Greg.
Weren't you in that?
No, I wish I was. I wish I was. I mean, I feel like I was in it. I mean, I could recite all the dialogue from that. But I have a lot of fun, and I just, you do such a great job, and I have no qualms whatsoever about saying, okay.
Anything I've ever put in your trailer that you haven't liked?
No.
Wow.
No, I don't.
How many episodes have we done now? 100 of the Closer Plus.
100.
And then
Now we're getting near
12
100.
years. 12 years, and so you
12
haven't
years.
not liked anything. Wow.
Yeah.
You never have. You've never come to me and said, I don't want to wear this tie. I don't want.
No.
Interesting.
No, not ever.
So, does Andy wear boxers, please?
Oh, yes, Andy wears boxers. Yeah, Tony wears boxers. Andy wears boxers.
Same brand?
No, I switch off a little bit, but you know, what do I wear?
Everybody-
Calvin Klein, Banana Republic,
Oh, God.
And
Are there
then-
any hearts after that?
and then you
We're
know.
coming, trust me.
What do you
know,
wear to sleep in?
Oh, I wear a pair of like sweatpants that are like.
Oh, come on. You're supposed to say only the sheets. Or
Yeah,
something
only.
like
Oh,
that.
yeah, only she's no New York Yankee sweatpants, and I've had this T-shirt since it's
Uh-oh.
going on 27 years old. It's a Ralph Lauren
Sounds old
American
and crusty.
flag. You know that sort of like that dark purple that he had, and it's like falling apart completely. But I just love this sweatshirt, so that's
Okay.
what I wear.
What do you wear to sleep with Raider?
Oh, with Raider, I sleep with Raider with good intentions.
Ooh!
With good intentions.
Oh my gosh. That was a good one.
And
All
I
right.
love, you know what I love dressing him too after he'd had, didn't you have a heart attack? You've had 2 heart attacks on the show,
Yeah.
right?
Well, no, he had a blood clot.
Yeah. So that was fun because I had to get robes for him and sweatsuits and all that. And that was fun because you have to think about what would Flynn wear, not what would Tony Denison
Right.
wear, but what would Flynn wear. And I think those were Ralph Lauren sweatsuits and a great fluffy robe, I think, from Ralph Lauren. And so, you know, it's fun to figure out.
Yeah, and I don't ask, you know, what's coming up in episodes for me. I don't want to know. I want to be surprised. I want to be, you know, as surprised as I can possibly be, you know, doing every episode that I do. And if I know what episode's coming, it might affect the work that I do in this episode because I know what's coming in the next one. So when I read the episode, that's my version of watching the show for the first time. You know, that's what I enjoy.
And what do you like wearing when you get off the set? That's like the first thing that Flynn doesn't wear that Tony gets to wear.
Well, I don't know. For me, I have 950 sports jackets, you know, and I have a lot of designer jeans, and basically that's what I wear. I wear a T-shirt, you know, the uniform of the Los Angeles actor, you know, sort of,
Leather jacket, T-shirt, and designer
yeah,
jeans.
or a sports jacket, you
and
know,
Gucci shoes, or
and-
Ferragamos, or something like that.
yeah, or what's the guy I really like now? The shoes that I really. Oh, I have some Bruno Magli I got on sale. They were great.
See? Should I buy it? It's on sale.
There you go. So, Greg, what would you like to see Flynn in that you've never seen him wear?
Tuxedo for a wedding.
wow, that'd be
okay,
cool.
that's a
Wouldn't that
good
be
one.
nice?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. And we know what wedding the fans want. How I love those leather jackets that you had them in when they were going house hunting. Those were super cool. They
You know
were.
what? I think that was a members only, which, you know, has a bad rap because it seems kind of like Guido or, you know, lower class or whatever. But I love the members only leather jacket that I got Tony, and also I got him some other Barbados leather jackets too. But that one I think is so character, and it looks.
I like that jacket.
It's very much what Flynn would wear.
And it's an antique, right? You
yeah,
can
it's
get
an
it
antique.
anywhere.
Yeah, it's from a vintage store, and it's just fun.
Great. And where can you tell, like, fans that they can shop and find some of the things that, you know, we see Tony wearing?
Well, for those in Los Angeles, I get most of his suits at a store called Roger Stewart in downtown LA. They actually sell cop suits. I mean, it's Mike Burcham, our technical advisor, was an LAPD detective. That's where he shopped for his suits, so I thought, go to the real source. And they ran anywhere from $200 to $2,000. Your suits are all the higher end, of course. And then I get a lot of his ties, like I just said. This is JCPenney, Van Heusen. But I also do Gucci and Brioni from Neiman Marcus and Saks. And so, I mean, and your shirts are all over wherever we can find these pastel shirts. But yeah, I mean, the fans can go to Penny's right now and pick up a Flynn tie.
There you go. How do you think Mary's style has evolved, or, you know, Captain Radar?
Well, that's interesting. She was cast like on a Thursday and played on a Friday. And so there was really no time to get to know who Mary was. So the first question I asked was, who do you wear, and who do you wear well without fitting problems? And she said Armani. So I quick went to Armani and got the Armani suits, and that's how Darth Raider came.
Up where we left off. Sorry about that, everybody. We keep losing the connection Nothing we
think-
can do on the lot. So.
I think I was talking about Mary's evolution, and I don't think she's evolved really because I still buy her Armani and Alexander McQueen because she's always classic. Raider is a classic style person, and so she wears classic clothes all the time, every day. Where he may be a peacock, she's a classic.
And what would you love to see Mary in?
A wedding gown.
You're like the fans wanting to see a tuxedo and a wedding gown. Now, would
And-
you design the wedding gown?
You know what? When Brenda got married, I bought that online because I wanted a period gown that was going to be Willie Ray's. For Raider, yeah, I'd probably design it.
Yeah. I bet
And
you
I'd probably have to match the tie.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a little
Or
lace,
more than that,
a
yeah.
little lace pocket square.
Right.
Anyway, I wanted to say before I have to go to a production
Yep.
meeting, I adore working with you.
I
I
adore
adore you as a
working with
human
you.
being. You're just a joy to be around and work with. And
Right back at you times 10.
you need to make me some Parmesan, whatever.
Oh, the
that
eggplant
thing.
Parmesan.
Yes,
Eggplant
yes.
Parmesan.
Anyway.
And
Bye,
you
fans.
have to try his French toast too, Italian
Ooh,
style.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
And
All
fans,
right.
thank you for loving us.
Absolutely. You go ahead, Greg. I'll
Okay,
stick with
bye.
Tony for a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Greg, for partaking in this.
All right, Tony. So I'm just
I
gonna.
got to go rehearse.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right. Well, then we're gonna have to say goodbye, everybody. And thanks for tuning in. Sorry for having to break this into 3 parts, but hopefully, we got a good interview there, and everybody will love it. And we'll post it on Facebook, and you guys can tune in anytime. And we'll try again in a couple weeks to come back and do it. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.